Hey everybody.
Hey guys, it's Jenny
And Paul.
with the Go Box.
I'm going to squeeze in a little closer here. Look, we're really big in the screen today.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like being so big. I'll
Oh my goodness. Well, welcome to my world. I'm kind of big everywhere I go. So. Anyway.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Happy Friday.
Hope you guys are feeling up to doing a painting tonight. So, fun animal, the Rooster, and just hopefully you had a good week and you're nice and relaxed and ready to tune out and just paint the Rooster. I think this one's going to be super fun. I love painting animals, especially animals that have like rainbow colors streaked into them. They're super cool. Are we okay there, Paul, on our settings? You are...
I'm feeling a little confused right now.
What's it doing? It looks like we're up there on the screen. Well, I'll just sit here and drink till you get it figured out.
Okay, we're back.
Okay, you sure?
Yeah, well, I mean...
It looks like we have the spinning wheel of death on that computer.
Yeah, I don't get it. But it's working because I see that it was working.
Okay. All right.
In theory. I'm just waiting.
You could double check it on your phone. Go to YouTube.
I am. I have it. Oh, yeah, it's up.
All right.
Okay, we're back. See?
Okay. Sure. Yeah, well, I mean... Just your computer here has the spinning wheel of death on this stream.
Well, no, wait, it's not the spinning wheel of death.
To me, it's the spinning wheel of death.
No, it just means it's loading.
It's loading. Okay.
Let me just, I'll try to.
So how about this? If we sound weird or you're having any kind of audio issue, which has been a common theme, post a comment so then we'll know. Otherwise, we're not going to know. So Paul will continue to check the comments as we go along and see if there's any audio issues or anything at all. Looks like we got some people tuned in.
Yeah, let me go
hey,
look.
people.
I'm going to go take a little jaunt over here.
Okay.
Jenny, you can go ahead and start to talk. I think we got some things to talk about tonight.
Yeah, we've got some exciting news this week. Just the day before yesterday, we heard that Governor Brown, we sort of waited for her announcement, and she did announce that Multnomah County can now open into Phase 1, which that means our studio can open. We've been waiting for it, and it just seemed like it was never going to get here. And in fact, we were pretty worried for a while. And so our first classes will be this next coming weekend. That will be June 26th, 27th, 28th. We're just going to do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday class. Just keep it simple to start. We are limited to 12 people just to keep up with the social distancing guidelines. And we also, you are required to wear a face covering when you come in, whether it's a handkerchief or whatever you have. It's just the governor has mandated that for all businesses in Clackamas, Washington, Multnomah counties, and probably others too, just to, respect everybody and keep it safe. We can do it for a while. It's not going to be forever. But obviously you will have to remove your mask to sip wine, and sipping wine is a very important part of this painting process, so don't worry about that. We're not going to be like tasing you or anything if you take your mask off to sip a little sip of wine. Tonight we have the Rooster. So this is June's painting number 1 for the June Go Box subscription. Painting number 2 is Paul's landscape called A Summer to Meander. That's a really pretty one. It's a very similar color base. We painted side by side when we created these, and we figured, well, they could kind of go together. You could hang them together, and they would look good together. And we've got nature and one of nature's beasts. So I think we're good. Let's talk about what supplies you're going to need. Are we live and we're okay, Paul? Okay.
I might do something in just a second.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, I'll just keep talking. Just tell me when I can't talk anymore.
Yep.
Colors. you've got in your kit, we have our own line of paint now, which is pretty cool. We knew we'd eventually get to that point, and we finally did after, I don't know, I guess it's been like 8 months of doing Go Box. Maybe a little longer. How many months has it been? It's been since September. I just can't do math that fast in my head.
You're getting there.
So we have our Sapphire Blue, which is just your basic primary blue. Ruby Red, primary red. Daffodil Yellow, which is primary yellow. We just gave them some more exciting names. That was important to us, just being creative people. And then every month we're going to throw in like a bonus color. So this month you got raw sienna. And then, of course, you always will have black and white. We won't always use black and white on every single painting, but for the most part, I think you'll see black and white pop up quite a bit. And then these paint bottles, here's my Ruby Red. These are set up with the right amount of paint to last you through about 3 months of Go Box projects. Give us feedback if that feels like, oh, I'm going through it too much, or I have a lot left over, whatever. We kind of want to know how it works out for you guys. We just sort of guesstimated based on using a digital scale and then weighing the amount of paint we send out every month. So, okay, so there's your paint colors. You have 6 colors this month. And then brushes, I just use a relatively big brush. It's not one of those big like Bob Ross 1-inch or 2-inch brushes. This is a 1-inch brush. And then we've got a medium size, round or flat, doesn't matter. And then your small detail brush. So mine, I'm using a 1-inch flat brush, a number 4 round, and then a number 4, I guess that'd be a micro round. I think it's so weird that these two both are number 4. But I will just go with whatever.
So bear with us just a second.
Hey, what's happening?
I've got a setting I need to change real quick.
Okay, are we going off the camera, or are we just still talking?
We're going to be off for just a split second.
Okay, we're going to be off the camera for just a split second. The one of these things are in an update, which of course we always find out right before we go live. So
right as we go live.
Right as we go live. So he's going to do something.
Yeah.
Are we on the air?
Yeah.
Yeah, this screen, I'm going to refresh this screen.
So don't worry about it yet.
Okay.
Should be back. There. Now we're back.
Okay. So along with your box, you get the instruction sheet, which I will loosely follow. I mean, I designed the painting, so I kind of know what I do to make it come together in the end. But a lot of times I don't follow. I've said this before. Every time I'll say it, I don't follow these instructions exact when I'm painting live, just because of trying time.
Instructions.
Yeah, we know that.
That's why I always have to get up and redo the audio settings and stuff. No, I'm just kidding.
So you should also have a cup of water to wash your brush in, some kind of paper towel or paint rag to use, and then our 11 by 14 canvas. I set this one up in landscape format, but if you want to turn it this way and do it that way, you absolutely can, because Paul's painting goes this way, so if you wanted to hang them together and have them look the same, you could do that. But your rooster's just going to be a little squished this way.
Squishy, squishy.
And that's all right. That's all right.
It's all good.
I usually prefer a portrait format. It's weird. Very weird. I just always have. I don't know. It's like some...
It's actually
appeals
funny
to my eye better, I think.
Because I did our landscape in portrait format.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
Oh.
No, yeah, that's what I was just saying, yeah.
What?
I don't know. Hopefully you guys have something to sip on. I actually poured myself a glass of Pinot Gris, and I've been really into the strawberries being in season, so I literally will fill my wine glass with strawberries. And then at the end, when I'm all done, I've got these like wine-soaked strawberries to eat. It's amazing. It's like you drink, and then you have a little surprise end in the drink. All right. I think we're ready to get going here.
Awesome.
Be nice to yourself. Nobody expects you to put your painting in the Louvre or paint the Sistine Chapel.
Some people do put their paintings in the loo.
Yeah, we have a lot of loo paintings. So, yeah, don't be too hard on yourself. Nobody expects you to be a master right out of shoot. I know a lot of you guys are getting really amazing really fast just from doing this for so long. I love seeing you post your paintings. Please post them on our what is it called? Go Box Art Crate Facebook page. That one you have to ask to join. We'll accept you right away. We don't, you don't have to fill out a questionnaire or anything. And you can post your paintings that you did, even if you did them without buying our subscription. We still love to see them. But yeah, Go Box Art Crate. Join up there and post your paintings if you are feeling like you're okay with sharing your artwork.
Always be okay with sharing
Yeah.
it.
Always.
Be okay.
People are so positive on there. Really, I love that. I love you guys for being that way.
We're ready to go picture in picture?
Yep, let's go
do
for it. Bye.
2, 1, boom. There we are.
All right.
We're still here.
We're still here.
We are still here.
So yeah, give a comment if there's some weirdness with the sound or anything like that. Anything pops up weird.
Well, hopefully that update.
Get abducted by aliens. Whatever happens, just let us know.
I think there's some other authorities they should probably let know if they get abducted by aliens before they tell us, because there's not really much sway that I have in being able to do anything.
No, I was thinking if we get abducted by aliens.
Oh yeah, then definitely call somebody.
All right, let's get started. So what we're going to do first is we're going to make a really pale beigey yellow background color. I love this color. It kind of looks like I want it to look like it's in the morning because that's when these guys make their music.
I'm going high class tonight, Jenny. I'm drinking the PBR.
You are good. I thought I grabbed you, Bowie, but
Thanks.
similar cans.
Sorry.
Okay, so let's take our medium brush to start. Go ahead and brush it on the bottom of the cup in the water just to wake it up, loosen up the bristles, and dry it on your towel. Oh, I've got red paint on here already. Weird.
So Jennifer Portis and Elise Bales both say that it's working
Yay!
well.
Good.
I mean, they said that before I made the adjustments.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's keep our fingers crossed it's still working well. So we're going to mix 3 colors. We're going to mix our raw sienna, which is the color that looks like butterscotch or wheat, our daffodil yellow, and white. And usually what I'll do is I'll just scrape some white to the side, pull in some of this. I have a lot more paint on my palette than you will need to have because Paul and I are sharing.
Make sure you leave enough for... This is a 3-month supply.
Yeah.
So
I'm just stirring a little daffodil in there just to warm it all up. And you can choose. If you want really a warm, bright yellow background, add more daffodil in there. I feel like this is a good color that I've got going on right now. And I don't usually over mix things. I like a streaky background, especially this sort of thing. You can see it's very mottled and streaky. There's patches of yellow, there's patches of raw sienna, there's patches of lighter beige.
watch where you're pointing that thing.
Oh, sorry. So what we're going to do first is we're going to make a couple marker points, and our rooster is actually shaped like a jelly bean or a kidney bean. Don't be nervous about drawing him in because it's really easy to correct. We get to tweak this drawing for a long time until it's time to start filling in color and everything. So let's talk about the head. We want to leave enough room for a nice tall comb. And the comb on this, I'm sorry, I'm going to keep bringing this over just to reference it. The comb on this it's a good inch, and then there's a tiny bit of space between it and the top of the canvas, which means I'm going to drop the top of this head here about 1.5 inches, maybe even 2 inches down. And it's kind of on, if you were to divide your canvas into 1, 2, 3 columns, it's in this left third. So I'm going to drop down in this left third about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, just make a dot. And then have a look at it and think, okay, am I going to be able to fit a comb in there? Do I need to make it taller? I mean, do I need to drop it down further or make it closer to the top? It doesn't matter. So I'm going to turn this into like a rainbow shape.
Oh, you're... Okay. I see what's
I mean,
going
it's better
on
than... It's Pride Month. It's a rainbow shape.
Yeah, no.
It's better than seeing a frown shape. I'm happy with the rainbow
I see
shape.
that you're painting around the chicken first.
Yes. It's not a chicken, it's a rooster.
It's a rooster.
We're drawing the rooster in loosely. This is very loose. And the reason I really want to emphasize loose is so that you don't like over stress about how it's drawn. All right, so now the back of the head, it kind of slants down like you're doing the side of a mountain or the side of a pyramid. That's easy enough. Just boom, just slant it right down there. And then I'm going to round up. And you can even like kind of just tap your brush down to sort of lightly sketch it. I'm going to make the back of the chicken. I started to make it a little too...
You just called it a chicken.
Sorry. You're right. Dang.
You forfeit all opportunity to make fun of me for calling it chicken from now on.
Here I thought I had something to make fun of you for.
Well, you got plenty of things.
So you can see it's already taking on this sort of kidney bean or jelly bean shape.
Jelly beans.
I know, right?
I think we should be like old Ronald Reagan and have a big old dish of jelly beans right here in the middle of the table while we're teaching.
You eat too many.
I do indeed.
So then this guy's proud. He's got his chest sticking out, and that's what we're going to do next. We don't want this, like, scrawny, like, indented chest because he's proud. These guys are always super cocky. Puff it out like that and come back around.
So I should paint a self-portrait.
You should. So this leaves me just a little bit of room for feet, and the cool thing is I originally thought about having this guy just be sort of nesting, or he's not really nesting, he just roosting in the grass. So I wasn't going to do feet originally. I was going to bring the grass right up to here, and I think either way would be cool. I don't know, I kept painting. I was like, I'm going to add feet.
It kind of looks like a peep right now.
Yeah. Okay, that looks
Actually,
good.
you know what it looks like? It looks like that dog from Adventure Time. What was it, Jake?
Oh, totally looks like Jake. Actually, yours could have a more puffed out chest. So make sure you really round this part out, you guys, because this is important.
I'm only trying to do like
and
3 things.
You can constantly redraw. Like if I looked at it and was like, I made it too big. I could redraw it on the inside because all of it gets covered around it. So we're good. So if you have a lumpy floating jelly bean with a puffed out chest, you are on track for this painting. You're doing good, Paul. I always love to watch when you paint animals. I was really mesmerized by your Chewbacca.
Oh, he's right here. He's watching me right now.
Greta and I made fun of that for hours.
Come on, you shouldn't be making fun of Chewbacca. He was... Hold on, I'm going to show you. No, I'm not.
So you'll have just a little bit of room for a nice big tail. It's okay if it goes off the side of the canvas. And I just sort of loosely sketch in the tail. And here's what I'm doing. So in the 80s, us girls, we wore side ponytails. And this is what it always reminds me of, because it had these short spiky hairs, because you're pulling all your hair to the side. So this hair that would be pulled over here was kind of short and spiky. And then it would go down long. And we're just loosely getting this blueprinted on. We're going to paint this in with other colors. So you don't need to do any more than what I just did here. Just kind of... Yep, there's the tail.
Yup, there it is.
There it is. And then I'm going to have us loosely draw on the comb. Let's have a look at the original. It kind of goes out at an angle on the forehead, and then literally it's just scallops all the way down to where it kind of meets down the back of the head here. You can use your smallest brush if you want, but I'll go ahead and just kind of dab it on there. About like so. Yep, draw your comb, Paul. And then we're going to just start fixing to paint the background. So I'm going to wash my brush.
You might call it a comb, but I call it a battle helmet.
Okay.
I don't know why. It just sounded like a manly thing to say.
So this lower, there's like a bottom 2 to 3 inches here, which you can just leave completely white because we're going to paint grass in there. But let's paint the background all around our rooster in the same color with the biggest brush.
Is it wrong that I suddenly want Chick-fil-A?
I've never had Chick-fil-A.
Well, Popeyes is better. But...
So I'm just, now I'm just painting sloppy, choppy brush strokes. I'll occasionally dip my brush in white. I'll occasionally dip my brush in just raw sienna. And I'll occasionally dip my brush in just the daffodil yellow, just so you get a good mixture of different tones in the same family that we drew our rooster on with. Don't worry about the beak. Don't worry if you accidentally paint into the body or face at all. I did a little bit, but I'm just going to bulk that out with my colors later. But we'll get this background painted in.
You know, I have a scar from a rooster.
Oh, really? Did you guys have one when you were growing up?
Yeah.
How did you have room for a rooster? I mean,
we had
3/4 of your property was pond.
We didn't used to have the backyard did not used to be a landscaped area. It was mostly just a big... Yeah. We had a couple... We had a rooster. And he
They can be pretty mean. He was threatened by you, apparently.
He scratched me.
I can't remember. Was it on your arm or something?
Right.
Oh, you do? Wait, no, that's not it.
No, it's like right there on my wrist.
How old were you?
Oh, I don't know. I don't even remember it. I do know that we had chicken stew the next day.
Rooster stew.
Rooster stew.
So growing up, my very best friend, I grew up out in the country south of Oregon City, for those of you who are from around here. And my very best friend in the world lived in a 100-year-old farmhouse on acreage half a mile from me. And I would hear her rooster every single morning. And I always loved it because I was like, that's Nora's rooster. So that was pretty cool. And then they had Polish chickens, which we decided were pretty mean. They would always try to attack the fence whenever we came nearby.
They're like, let us out.
No, it's like they wanted to really get to us. But, I mean, I don't know.
No, they are.
Some chickens can be kind of mean. You know, every single person that
I just got done telling you how I was attacked by one.
Yeah, no, that was a rooster.
They're the same thing.
Every single person that I know now who's like our age, who has small bit of property, like, I mean, I shouldn't say a small bit of property because none of my friends really have, there's very few of my friends that have any kind of acreage. And those of us who have, 10,000 square foot lots or whatever, are getting chickens in cities that allow it. And
our city does not
allow it.
Our city does not.
So many of our friends and family who've gotten chickens, they are done with them after a year.
Yeah, get rid of them.
My sister said they just poop everywhere and you just constantly cleaning it up.
But you know what the thing is if you have the right property, that is one of the best forms of fertilizer you can use for your garden.
True. That's true. If you have the right kind of property.
Well, it doesn't take much.
Nope.
Add it to your compost.
Right now, our fertilizer is done by fish.
It's true.
So Paul's created a whole aquaponics garden in our side yard that is fed off of a giant cattle trough that is filled with water and goldfish
And koi.
So, yeah, he's been busy during this quarantine. We don't have any veggies to prove for it quite yet. We're getting there.
It's kind of it is kind of the experimental first go at doing this, and I have always been.
I just washed my brush, by the way. You can go ahead and wash your brush too.
I'm still figuring out this when you're supposed to plant stuff thing.
Gardens.
I think I always wait too long.
We're pretty new to it, just because we've never really had a lot of time in our past to. We've planted gardens, but then they just don't produce, except for that one year that the pumpkins accidentally planted themselves.
And grew all the way around the house.
Yeah, pumpkins everywhere.
Look at that, I'm a pumpkin farmer.
We totally could have had a pumpkin patch.
We did.
On our, 7,000 square foot lot.
It was a patch. It was about this big.
We had some good pumpkins
We did.
Time. And it was just from throwing rotten pumpkins back there in the side yard.
That sounds really bad.
Shame. For shame.
Yeah,
I'm sure we weren't the first people that did that.
I think you tossed them over and said, we put that in the recycle bin? And I was like, sure. And then we forgot about it.
It grew.
Okay, what's next?
So we're going to paint the grass next. And
Really?
it is a greenish color base. And then later on we put some awesome blue on it.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so what we're going to do color-wise to make the grass, go ahead and use your biggest brush again. And we're going to mix raw sienna and our sapphire blue. So I'll just pull, and it's okay if it ends up with some of the yellow in it. I'm not super picky.
I'm going to turn our picture off.
Okay, is it blocking?
No. Hold on, I got to figure this out here.
So I'll pull this up onto the screen here.
Well, it just turned itself off.
There you go.
Good timing, but I still need to.
Are we okay for me to continue on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I just made a...
I pushed the wrong button.
Oh, good Lord. I can't take you anywhere.
What is going on? There you go.
All right, a little vacation because Paul pushed the wrong button.
I did.
I'm going to have to just
Well, again, they did the update and things are labeled different.
It's always the update, isn't it?
It's always the update.
Okay. So
Why blame yourself when you can blame technology?
The update, exactly.
Yeah.
So I just made a sagey green by mixing the raw sienna and the sapphire blue. Play around with it. Make it a bluer green or make it a more yellow green, golden green, whatever you like. But this grass it's just rough. It's in the chicken coop yard. And it has, it's not been mowed or trimmed. So I'm going to use my biggest brush, and I use the skinny edge to get these nice fine little blades of grass. And I work kind of quickly, primarily working on, I'm not going to worry about down in here yet. Just getting the top edge here. So sometimes I'm going to go this direction. And sometimes I'm going to go this direction, just to make it look really choppy and unmowed. And it's chopped by chickens and roosters. They probably nibble at it. I don't know. Do they nibble on grass? I can't even remember.
I don't.
We used to feed Norris chickens scraps from their, like, all the compost stuff that, potato peels, and they would even eat eggs. I remember us, like, laughing, like, oh, they're eating their own kind. Because they're eating the eggs. Throw, like, a raw egg out there, and it's like, they'll eat it.
I'm having difficulties.
You are having difficulties today. Plenty.
I mean, it's kind of been that kind of day, honestly. I don't know why.
So again, I'm just primarily focusing on the edge that meets the sky. And our rooster's going to be floating for a while. We draw the feet over the top of this grass. And then I'm going to come in and I'll just fill in this lower part because that's easy. Our tail feathers are later on going to overlap the grass a little bit. So paint right up to them or even on top of them if it ends up that way, because we paint the feathers on top later, obviously. Now every once in a while, if you want to play around with color, you could dip your brush in the raw sienna and see what that does. Just streak in some raw sienna in there. So then you got this sort of wheat-ish colored grass mixed in with your sagey green. I feel like this canvas is sucking up this color. Either that or you're using a 10.
I'm not. I don't know what's going on. I just told you I was having trouble.
So starting next month, we'll be back at Skamania Lodge, teaching our regular classes there, which are every third Saturday from 2...
No, third Saturday of each month.
Oh, sorry. Third Saturday of each month.
Sorry, I have to correct you on that.
Yeah, you're good at that.
Well, we don't want people to show up every third Saturday.
So third Saturday of each month from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. we teach a class live. I mean, it's you can actually sign up and you don't have to even be a guest of the lodge or staying overnight. You can just drive in.
Although we recommend it.
We recommend it. Yeah, they're great. We love the people there. They are so awesome. The people who work
there. We consider them family
They're
now.
family. We love them so much that when we are ready to retire, we're actually moving to Stevenson.
Speaking of which, you can support us on Patreon.
Yeah.
Let me throw another. We want to retire early, so the more you guys help us out.
No, we're going to paint forever.
We are going to paint forever, but we can't do that until our daughter finishes school. We're in a good school.
And Paul actually has another job.
I actually
we can't support ourselves even with our own art, but
I have a day job. It's true.
He has a day job, but that's that's life.
We're
pretty lucky to be able to.
Here's to 80-hour weeks.
Here's to 80-hour weeks. I'll drink to that. We forgot to do a toast.
Oh well.
Well, I'm ready.
Let's toast to 80-hour weeks.
80-hour weeks and roosters. Cheers.
Well, since we are doing a rooster painting, I thought PBR was appropriate.
Why is that?
Well, it's kind of a farmer beer.
Is it?
It's got yeah, I don't know. But you know what? You can get an 18-pack at Walgreens for $12.99 plus deposit.
Sick.
And that's more than a 2-week supply for me, so it's good. And it's cool and refreshing. As long as you drink it fast enough, it still tastes okay.
I see a spot I need to touch up. Speaking of farming and raising animals and stuff, all this week I have been rereading the Laura Ingalls books, which I've read them all throughout my life, but it's really fun to revisit them. I actually got them on Audible, so I'm technically not reading them. I'm listening to them.
Cheater.
But I love it so much. I love the pioneer times and, gosh, the hardships they had to go through, which we take for granted now. You don't think about, like, simple things.
Oh
like,
my gosh, I couldn't go to happy hour.
We have it so lucky with the technology and whatnot that we have now. And, you know, I was going to say illness prevention, but that's not really relevant right now.
We're still doing pretty good.
We're still doing pretty good. Illness prevention right now is wear your mask when you go in public.
Right.
So let's go ahead and talk feathers. We're going to get some color on our rooster. And one thing I want to emphasize here is you do not have to follow the same color pattern I did. If you want to do black on the tail and red over here, if you want your rooster's head to be blue, you can make it however you want.
It's your painting.
It's your world. It's your rooster. But I am going to teach you how I designed it because a lot of you might want to do it the way that the picture looks.
Here they come to paint the rooster. Oh, yeah.
I love Alice in Chains. Let's go ahead and take our middle-sized brush. Okay. And we are going to mix, I believe the color is sapphire. Let's see here. Ruby, white, and a tiny bit of sapphire. So it's kind of a reddish lavender. And I'll just scrape. You know what? I'm going to make a violet first. Equal parts blue and red. I didn't mix quite enough in there.
Hey, we had somebody already buy a ticket to an event this weekend coming up.
Yeah, we just posted those classes like literally less than an hour ago, so that's exciting.
Well, that might be why we were about 2 minutes late starting the video, is because I was scrambling trying to get that stuff done too.
So what I made here is a very just true, rich, regular lavender. And on the painting, it's more of a pinkish reddish, so I'm going to put a little more red in there.
Hey, and if you guys are watching this video...
A little more white. Yes. Speak on.
Like it.
Like it. Hit the bell. Yeah, every time you guys like the videos, for whatever reason, it makes us more visible to other people. So that's kind of a cool...
It's called an algorithm.
It's an algorithm. It's kind of a cool little thing.
I don't know if you can like it while it's live. It doesn't. I don't see the button, but oh.
Let's go ahead real quick, and before I paint these chest feathers in, let's go ahead and sketch out a quick wing. So it's just going to be right about here. It's kind of in the... It's like, here's the whole back. It's a little towards the front here. It's just like a C shape. It comes down... It's almost like I drew the side of a heart here. And then the side of a heart.
Okay.
And then this just kind of rounds.
Looks like a saddle.
Yeah, it's a rooster saddle for elves. For the small people.
Garden gnomes.
Garden gnomes. Have you ever seen that video that's viral where they put the pants on the chicken?
Yes.
It's so funny. I love that so much. I'm going to add a little more white to that purple because I feel like it was not quite as light as I wanted it to be. And now we're going to use the skinny edge of the brush. I still think that's not quite the right color. You know, this is just me being super OCD. This has nothing to do with like it being right or wrong. This is just me going, I have to mix the exact same shade of color. Which is bad. I shouldn't be that way. Okay, so I'm going to bring this down on the chest. We're leaving the head, the whole upper part of the head white for now. And using the thin edge of the brush, whether you have a round brush or... So if you have a round brush, you're just using the very tip of the bristles. If you have a flat brush, you're going to use the skinny edge of it.
I'm actually really liking these round brushes.
I love them. So we had these flat brushes that we had used for 10 years. And I went to reorder them, and the manufacturer said, they were discontinued. And I literally just about freaked out.
And it's what we've always done.
Yeah, and when you're having something switch, it's kind of a big deal. You know, that's the brush we use the most, is the middle-sized brush. And I tried different samples of different ones, and I just didn't love them. And then I just ordered these round ones, which they're a stiffer bristle, so they're not super floppy. And I love them. I love them so much. I just have to convince my staff now. Trust me, you'll love them. Because when I mentioned it to them, they were like, OMG, what are we going to do? Change, we can't have change. So if you like the look of some shaggy feathers on the front, which I love that look, I'm going to take my littlest brush, dip it in the water. I'll add a drop of water to my paint I've been working with. Just stir it in so you have a nice little thinned out patch of paint. And real lightly just do some little flicks that are sort of going downward but out into the background. So like short little ones up here, and there we go. He's a little ragged. There.
If we ever got a rooster, let's say we buy a house with property.
We have a house.
No, I know. We own a house. But, well, the bank owns the house. But,
no, we own the house.
Yeah.
Partly.
Yeah.
We halfway own it.
That's true. Yeah, they haven't repossessed it from us. That's true. But let's say we buy a house someday in the future. We sell this one and we move and we have a piece of property where we can have it. Chickens and roosters.
Just a sec. I'm going to streak a little white in here
just
just because I want to.
Okay.
So people, you can do that if you want, or you can...
What would you name the rooster?
Okay. I've got... It's, what's the name of the one? The one on Looney Tunes, the big tall one.
Foghorn Leghorn?
Foghorn Leghorn. I think that's the most awesome name ever. Foghorn Leghorn.
Impressive.
I'll say it. Was he a rooster?
Yeah, he was a rooster.
I loved him. He was like my favorite Looney Tunes.
And remember there was that little baby chicken hawk that was always chasing him?
Chicken hawk. I hated that one.
Well, but it was just the little one.
He was mean.
Yeah, but he could never do anything to Foghorn because he was so little.
All right. So, yes, it looks like I've just knitted a little halter top, a tube top for the rooster out of purple rooster feathers, because that's what we do when we paint. We can knit little purple tube tops. And I'm going to now sketch in more of the wing. I do it in gray, and it's a kind of a light gray. It's about 2 parts white, 1 part black. So I did wash my brush. I'll pull this over here so you can see my mix. And this is what happens when Paul and I share a palette. It gets really bad messy. So I'm going to pull over a chunk of white and then about half as much black to make a light to medium gray. About like this. I like that. That works. You can always put a toned color in here. If I wanted to make a bluish gray, I'd just tap in a little tiny bit of blue. Really, there's lots of things you can do. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to follow this shape that I drew.
You know, I like that idea.
And it's kind of like, yeah, let's do that. Let's add a tiny bit of let's add a tiny bit of blue. You have to add more than that.
Well, yes. I started before you had agreed.
So I'm just going to sort of frame in what would be like the blueprint or the bones of the wing. And it just comes down, it sort of wraps around the bottom here. And then the tail is going to take up this last little area. And then we're going to wash our brush. We're going to work with some black paint. We are going to knit our rooster a black sweater vest right now.
Really?
Very fashionable.
I'm kind of jealous. I want a sweater vest.
So we're going to take the black. It's going to come over the wing. It's going to overlap your purple. And it's going to come across here and down to here. So this whole area, like I said, it's like a sweater vest.
You know what? My wing doesn't go far enough back. Well, maybe it does.
Your wing looks like a full-on heart shape.
That's because I love you.
It's a saddle for elves.
It's all the love I've got to give.
Your rooster's lovely. Okay, so now I'm going to overlap this purple, and it's okay if you drag some wet purple down into here. I love it when they blend together. That's a happy little accident. And I'm going to bring this over the top of the wing just a little bit. It's like the sleeve of the sweater vest.
Vests don't have sleeves.
I mean, it's the part that goes over your shoulder. What would that be? It's got a name.
If anybody knows the name, leave the answer in the comment section
Any
below.
seamstresses or tailors out there?
I don't think I've ever owned a sweater vest.
I think you did for Halloween once, maybe.
No?
I swear you had a sweater vest at one point for something.
I mean, I did work in the golf industry, so there's a high probability that at some point in time I may have owned a sweater vest. But
So you can fluff out your rooster here. You can make his chest a little more puffed out down in here if you want to.
Bum, 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 bum. I think that's the one thing I don't like about these YouTube videos is we can't just turn on some tunes.
I know. We both love painting to music. And we just have to sing now.
I want to sing. One of these days you guys will hear us sing, but probably not during a live video.
No, it'll be pre-recorded. We're actually working on a podcast that will be devoted to art and music, famous artists, famous musicians.
Oh, wow, there's a lot of this goes all over.
And it will be, we've been mentally working on this for over a year.
Don't say the name of it yet, though.
We've been mentally working on it for over a year, but actually getting to do it, we're getting closer. And it mainly had to do with him and I having to learn some songs we can sing on there.
Well, me learning how to sing.
What's that?
Me learning how to sing.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big part of it, too.
Yep, we started our music lessons. I mean, he and I, we've always been musicians. We met in a music theory class in college, freshman year. But it's always just been like by ear. So taking some actual lessons for vocals for him and piano for me and vocal. I'm not doing vocals. Like I've taken a million vocal lessons throughout my life. I think pretty good on that part, but piano definitely is. I keep telling everyone I need 1/2 inch longer fingers.
I just try to keep up, that's all.
I just learned Bohemian Rhapsody, and it requires some serious stretching of the hands. So, Freddie Mercury must have had really long fingers. I'm guessing. Oh, you know what? I washed my brush, but I don't want to. I want to take the black, and I do add some bits of black in here with the gray, just to kind of frame out the wing a little more. Keep it loose. Everything should be pretty loose with this. I like it a lot better when I paint something like this and I do have lots of little raggedy brush strokes. Just looks better overall. And we are going to start working on the tail. And on the instructions, I believe it's the purpley color we use. Let's see here. Begin to paint the tail by streaking ruby and sapphire, alternating between the two and letting them mix to make violet. And then my instructions say to add black feathers to the wing, which we already did, so we're ahead of that part. For the brush, you can use your... I can't hold on to the brush.
It is a weird day today, isn't it?
You can use your middle-sized brush or the skinny edge of your biggest brush. That's what I'm going to use to start, because I want to kind of do this with it and get this nice pointy tail feathers. So I'm going to start with red. I love bright red on their tails. And I'm going to come up and make some of those shorter little feathers that I talked about earlier. Don't they make fish flies out of these? Like fly fishing ties or whatever you call them?
Fly? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they use all kinds
Fishing
of...
flies.
Yeah. Fly tying.
I remember, okay, so when I first started the studio 10 years ago, 2010, those feather earrings and feather hair extensions were like all the rage, and the salon next door to us did them, and I remember it was the major thing that the fishing industry, the people who do fly tying were just livid because they couldn't, the little crafters and hair salons were taking up all the rooster feathers.
They were doing fishing too. It's just a different kind of fishing.
Exactly. Okay, so I got a good chunk of red on here. I'm not even going to wash my brush. I'm going to go right for blue. And the reason I'm not washing the brush is because I want it to kind of turn purple on the canvas. So you end up with some patches of blue, some patches of red, and some purple, which actually turns against this yellow background. It turns almost, it's really dark. I wouldn't say black, but it's a very, very dark Merlot color. And you can see the little speckling of the tooth of the canvas poking through. It just means I need to put more paint on, so I'll go back and add some red You can use really thick paint through here if you want.
Just a little bit of blue, you said? Oh,
Blue and red, and I'm just alternating between the two. I do bring it down over the grass, and we add some blue highlighting to the tip of the grass later. We're just going to work around that. We're going to add pink to the tail later, and a little bit of the light blue highlight that we put on the grass. It looks really good on the tail. So your tail can come down into a little point, or it can be, several feathers that are similar lengths at the bottom. You inhaled like you were going to say something. Or are you just forgetting to breathe?
Just like
breathe, Paul. Breathe.
It's true.
Now you can switch to a medium brush if you want some detailed feathers that are kind of sticking out on the edges. I love doing that. You can use your smallest brush too, kind of like we did on the chest, if that feels more comfortable. If you have a flat brush, use the skinny edge.
My tail looks a little Tina Turner.
It totally does. Like her hair from Mad Max.
Yeah, Beyond Thunderdome.
Yes.
Totally.
I loved her when I was young.
Everybody
and I remember watching the making of Beyond the Thunderdome, and she had these big, huge, curved, like, earrings that are metal. And I remember, this is me remembering something from when I was, 10 years old, however old I was back then. But it stuck in my head that those weighed 5 pounds each, and I cannot imagine that.
Nah.
I had to have misheard it. Maybe it was like, I don't know, 5 ounces.
0.5 pounds.
Yes.
I could see 0.5.
We're going to have to Google that. I wonder if there's an answer for that on Quora. How heavy were Tina Turner's earrings in Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome? So I've got a little ugliness right here where the red sort of overlapped into the wing area just a bit, but there'll be plenty of time to cover that up. And if you look at the step-by-step pictures, you'll see that happen there as well. Let's see. Mix ruby and a tiny bit of sapphire to make... Oh. So remember we did this earlier, this purpley color? We're going to add some of that to the wing. And I'll just use my middle-sized brush. You might have to make more color. I realize I need to. Paul used all of mine.
I don't know why you blame me.
Yes, I like to blame you. That's what us wives do. Kidding. I'll keep you around some more. So I'm just going to streak in some of this purpley color in here. It doesn't have to be the exact same shade. Don't drive yourself crazy trying to make the exact shade, because there's no reason for it to be the exact shade. I know I just used leftover paint when I originally designed it. And what we're doing here is we're just gradually laying more color down. And so we'll keep adding and adding till finally all the white canvas is filled up, but that'll be a little bit later. So definitely you should have a little more white canvas left. If not, we'll add other color in there in other areas. It's no biggie at all. And what we'll do now is I'm going to paint the comb. And you know what I need to do real quick, actually? I'm thinking out loud. I want to paint white over the head. So I'm going to do that really quick with my little brush. And you can have a little bit of this purpley in there. So like I painted a little white on there, and then I dipped the very tip of the bristles in this purpley color. Because I don't always like to do just pure white. I like it to have a little bit of depth. So I'll add some of that color. Let it overlap. And the main reason I want to do this is I have a really thick line here that I need to kind of cover some of it. I don't even know if I listed painting the head white in the instructions. I may have left it as white canvas, but that's not very much like me, so
No, that doesn't seem like you at all.
No, I hate white canvas.
Well, I mean, when we were in college together, that was kind of like no number one.
That was a no-no. One thing that's bothering me on mine is I don't like how perfect this strip is, and I need to buy some time for this to dry anyways. So I'm going to run down here and touch this up. I'm going to use the same color, that sort of reddish lavender. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just mess it up a little bit. It's too organized. It's too like one exact width all the way through. So I'm going to mess it up. I'll come up into the white just a bit here and there. The best things are a little imperfect, especially with painting. Now I could understand if you're doing a still life and you need things to be absolutely perfect. I have a cousin who does that. He does an amazing job and sells all kinds of paintings. He'll sell out entire shows. And that kind of thing, you definitely want to get things exactly right. But for me, I found that a lot of times with my painting of animals, whatever, landscapes, I over-perfected for so long that I had to force myself at some point to come back in and just start messing things up a little bit. I'll streak a little white in there while the paint's wet.
That's a hard thing to get over.
Super hard to get over. And I can recognize when I see certain artwork that, oh yeah, that person's in that same phase. The way I got over it was crazy. For 5 years, I only painted abstract, like totally loose abstract. Not an abstract like, oh, that's an abstract apple or something like that. It was like, no, completely, there's nothing recognizable
Yeah,
in
my
the
aunt
painting.
asked if you were on dope.
Really?
I don't remember.
Why'd you say that then?
Just to be silly.
Good Lord, maybe I was.
If you were, I didn't know about it.
No, it was good for me, really, really good for me. And then when I came back and started painting more real to life things, I was able to apply what I learned just by studying color theory and brush strokes and stuff. So I highly recommend it. Maybe 5 years is a little long, but
a lot of the great masters went through phases.
Yeah, and that 5 years, I did some really good paintings. They were really, really big, like 6 feet tall, big ones. And they ended up in one of the houses in the Street of Dreams in Oregon, and it was a Frank Lloyd Wright style house. So they looked great in there because they needed something that was very abstract. So that was fun. I didn't feel like I did, I felt like I made the right decision after that. At that point, my dad gave me a lot of grief for going totally abstract.
Wait a minute, your dad watches these videos. You shouldn't pick on him.
I love you, Dad. Okay, so this is probably getting close to dry. It's still a little tiny bit wet, but I can work with it. I want to paint in the comb, and then we'll paint that in. And then by that point, this should be dry enough for us to paint the little eye mask thing and the wattle. Brush-wise, I'll use my medium brush again, but feel free if the comb and everything is really small, you might want to use your little guy. And I made kind of a slightly violet toned red. So I did that. I'm going to pull the palette over here. What are you making over here? He's making like this coral color. So I just want to take red and mix just a tiny bit of blue to it. You want it to be red, like you want someone to look at it and say, oh, that's red. But it's not like just straight out of the tube fire engine red. It's got a little bluish tone to it to richen it up just a bit. Kind of makes it more of a, I don't know, what would you call this? It's not poppy red because this is like poppy red. And it's not burgundy. It's somewhere in between. Cranberry.
That's actually kind of
Cranberry.
really close to what they would actually call it, like a true scarlet.
Oh yeah, scarlet. Scarlet. We made scarlet. Okay, so I'm going to just... Feel free to use your little brush if that helps you for kind of sketching out the comb, but make it imperfect. See how jaggedy mine is? It looks better than if I do like these perfect scallops. And I'm just going to round off this part where it meets the head. We did a really fun chicken and rooster date night in the studio, I don't know, a couple years ago or so. We were doing it pretty often. And it was a chicken and a rooster, so one of the dates would choose to paint the hen and one would paint the rooster. And we had so much fun with that one. I remember one time I made his comb look like it's blowing back, like a mohawk that's blowing back, and then I gave him sunglasses, so it totally looked like he was like on a Harley or something. Oh, kind of like what yours is looking like right now. Oh.
Yeah.
So this little scallopy area up here, I felt like it's maybe a little too perfect. I'm going to mess that up just a bit. Now, if you want yours to be more rounded and what you would call like perfect, I guess, quote unquote, you can have it that way. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just what you're feeling. You kind of go with what your universe is telling you right now, which is always what I do when I paint. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it gets a thick layer of black paint or white paint over the canvas and start over. Okay, no. Yes, that happens to me, especially when I'm having artist block. There's a lot of canvases in the back room of the studio that are black. That's for me. I got started with something and I'm like, I don't ever want anyone to see this, ever. It's never going to be recorded in history, so I paint black over it. Or if I have like white gesso, I'll paint white gesso over it. All right, so let's get that eye mask thing done. And honestly, it really does look a lot like a superhero mask. It's just on the front of the face. It's just, you're going to scoot back like so. And paint down the front here. It can meet up with the comb, or there can be a space. It doesn't matter. I haven't looked so close at roosters to know. Same color though, and I used my littlest brush to do this. And this, if you need to bump the face out a little bit, this is the time to do it. Gosh, it looks so funny right now. And the waddle is such a weird thing. It just literally comes down like a big old droopy blob that lays across the top of their neck. And it meets right up with that mask. What is the waddle for, Paul? Do you know? Maybe it's for attracting females.
Probably.
Look at my flabby little red thing hanging here. Watch it wiggle back and forth when I walk. I am going to have to look that up, but I bet it is. I bet it's some like male bird thing. But hens have them too. They're just not as big. The turkeys are the worst. Their whole head is a waddle.
It's kind of true.
Like it doesn't like it hangs over it lays over one side of their beak and hangs way down. It's so bizarre.
Somehow I missed the part where we painted the head in white.
Wow, it's because you were like going off and doing your own thing. I can tell, like you usually do.
No, I was trying to fix stuff I didn't like. I'm fine. I'll catch up. Don't worry. Don't wait for me.
You did talk about it because you said that's so not like you to leave canvas white.
I know, but I thought you were talking about something else.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about the tail area. Because that's what I was working on.
All right. We'll go with that. Okay. So keep in mind, you can pause the live video anytime if you're struggling to catch up or you need to go get a refill of a beverage. Totally cool to pause it. Let me see. Oh, we're going to draw the beak on. I would practice the beak a couple times. I'm just reading here. Okay. Let's talk beaks. It's really easy to get a hummingbird out of this guy or a duck. A duck is the most common. So a duck beak is when you've made it a little too fat. I'm going to use a big fat marker to show you on my paper. I'll set this guy aside. So we've got our head here. It comes down on the chest, on the back of the neck. Comb. And the eye mask. And the wattle. Which kind of comes out like that. The beak is going to be, it is above the wattle. And it's literally just, their beaks are pretty short. So that's the top. And then I just do a little bit shorter bottom beak. Now, I'll give you some options. You could do, here's the front of the face here. You could do the beak that's closed, like that, and just make the line that goes through it. Just keep in mind, it's a short, sharp beak. It's not going to be like, here's the front of the face. It's not going to be a duck beak, which is long and rounded. That's what I see a lot in the studio because it's really hard to get these thin beaks. And it's not going to be a really long beak like that. Short is good. Use a pencil. You can erase on your canvas with a pencil. I'm going to go for it with the paintbrush. So decide if you want to have the beak be open like he's cock-a-doodle-doing, or if you want it to be closed like he's being quiet. It is like morning time, so he's probably shouting to the world about how great he is. And color-wise, you know, I'll do a pencil first just because I think that for most of you it's going to be a good idea because it's a confidence thing. And if you mess up with going for straight for black paint, you're going to hate me. So I'm just going to do in pencil just a little, let's see here, a little short beak, slightly rounded on the top and back. And then I'll do, oh gosh, it looks bad already. I didn't make it open enough. There we go. He looks like he's smiling. Okay, so now I'm going to take my brush with a little tiny bit of black on the tip of the bristles. And in fact, I'm going to liquefy a little bit of black with some water. Not super duper thin, but you want it about like ink. I mean, not super duper watery. And I'll trace my beak. There. That works. I liked my original, the way it turned out expression-wise, but, you know, I'll go with this one. He's just bored. He's more bored. Like, this one, I feel like, here's the original. He's kind of shouting it out a little more. He's got a little more attitude, and this one, he's a little more docile. Now we're going to have some fun with some light blue. So the light blue goes everywhere. Let's pull this up here again. I'm going to line my canvas up so it's not off the camera. I apologize if it has floated around a little bit. I'll try to remember to look up at the screen and get it lined up right. So this light blue goes on the grass. Top edge of the grass, kind of like the highlight. Like it's the sun is shining down, it's just highlighting that. It goes on a little bit on the comb, a little bit on the wattle, down on the feathers and tail and all of that. Let's do it. Let's go for it. And that's kind of what you have to do. You just have to go for it. Brush wise, I am going to use my biggest brush for the grass because it's just kind of the top edge of the grass. And I'll use the medium brush for most of the body on the rooster. And we are going to make a mix of blue and white. Let's see, that's dry. I can mix it right there. Scrape some blue off. Add a little white. It's not a sky blue. It's more of a, just a medium blue, I guess. It'd be like right in between these two. We'll see. That's about right, actually. That's a good color. Darker than sky blue, but lighter than navy. And I'll just come through and get some of this on the top edge of the grass. Now, the bottom row here, what's really important is that you don't have it all start at the same point. So, like, sometimes I'll go down a little lower. Because, again, it's that, like what I keep saying, it's sort of a messed up thing. And I know there's probably some proper term for it. But it's unplanned. I'm going to work around the tail here. This is its own grass. You don't have to, like, stay in each green grass blade. You can like create your own blue grass blades. Bluegrass. That reminds me, one of the movies we watched in quarantine just recently was The Jerk. And don't they play a lot of like bluegrass music in the...
No.
Isn't that what they're playing?
They're playing blues.
In the end?
Oh, maybe a little bit. I don't know. At that point, I kind of was cringing at all the things.
That's a classic
Cringing at all the
movie.
stuff that was...
Oh yeah, there was some political incorrectness for sure.
That would never be made today. And it was really kind of...
It would be made, but not the way it was.
Yeah, exactly. And it was really, when we watched it, it was right at the height of the Black Lives Matter movement.
Hey, we're still at the height.
Oh, no, I know, but it was right when it was really breaking out. And people were being very aware, and then all of a sudden we're watching this movie, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they just said that.
Yeah. There were a couple words used in there, but they... Yeah. I'll just stop there. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's add some blue to the tail. I'm using the medium-sized brush now.
Boy, I am just...
You're struggling.
Kind of.
Animals. You're good at landscapes.
Working on a flat surface, I am struggling with the water drips.
It's looking good, though. It's looking good.
It's getting there.
So I'm going to put some blue in here, concentrating primarily on the white areas. We still have other color to add in here. We add some orange and yellow. So don't worry about like getting every single last little white area covered. And then I add some blue starting under the wattle. I'm going to come down. Now you can decide if you want to add some white to it and make a lighter shade to play around with too. Maybe I'll do that. So I didn't wash my brush. I just pulled aside some of that blue and add a little white to it. And you can see how it looks when it's a little bit lighter down in here. It really pops against this purple. I noticed it was sort of disappearing just a little bit because the tones are similar. And I like it down on the chest feathers where it's against the black too. You could even throw, if you did the lighter version, throw some in on the wing. More colors, more better. Throw some on the tail. This rooster went to the hairdresser, got some highlights. And I do put some down the back of the neck. What is that noise? Are you pointillism painting your rooster?
I am kind of.
Are those dewdrops?
It's the texture.
We'll show Paul's when we're all done, like we always do. I do want to put a little bit of blue on the front of the comb, just right here, like a highlight. And then on the front of the wattle, too. And then we're going to shade the comb just a little bit. So I have a lot more blue in the tail than I do on the original. I can show you that. You can see the two side by side. Oops, I just bumped the camera. Sorry about that. Camera bar. So you can see this one has a lot more blue. We still have to add pink. If you want more red back in it, just streak some more red right back in it. No biggie. Line this up so I'm not so out of line.
You're always out of line.
The wattle on this new one is quite big. It's a very proud rooster in a black sweater vest with a big wattle. Okay, so I want to shade this
probably
a
a
little.
Corvette in the parking lot.
Probably a Corvette in the parking lot. I want to shade this a little bit, and I'll show you on the original what I'm talking about. I shaded it a bit down near where it meets the head, and then kind of along the top. It's almost like an outline, like a very loose outline on the top. And I just feel like it finishes it off a little bit more. So let's do that. Color-wise and brush-wise, let's use our littlest brush. And we're going to make a color like what's in the tail, where you mix the red and blue together. It's kind of a plum. Here, I'll brush it around here. You can see it's kind of a plum color. And I'm going to come up the top here, very loosely outline, which means you don't even have to be exactly lined up with the edge of the red. And you can even make some sections come down like a line. And then where this meets the head, I like to shade along there and then upwards just a bit. I almost feel like I could have added a little more blue to that. And then what you can do, if you feel like you like this look and you want to do some down here on the wattle, kind of a, like I said, a very loose outline. It's like a non-committal outline. But then what you can do is you can I'll take my medium brush and I'll use just straight red. So just straight ruby red and just kind of paint in the middle area here. So then you really have a lot of different tonal variances going on here. So you've got some shading, you've got the blue highlight, and then you've got this mid-tone, which is the pure red, popping in there. And I'll even put some of that on the wattle area. Not too much on the eye mask. I need to draw an eye in there in just a little bit, so I don't want bloody red eye. That would be bad. And then I will touch up some red into the tail just a bit. I've got a couple spots that I feel like I could use a little more red while I've got it on the brush. All right, at any time we can fill in the beak. It was kind of a raw sienna color, just plain raw sienna, I believe, is what I used with the littlest brush. If this black outline is not dry yet, you'll want to wait and just do it later. I mean, it's something we could do anytime. Let's see how that looks with just the raw sienna. This will clean up my black outline a bit too, as I'm sort of brushing over the edge of the outline just a bit. That works. And I'm going to take a sip of wine.
Isn't it a sippy sip?
How are we doing time-wise?
I don't know.
I guess I can look at my phone. 8:44, so yeah, that's good. Actually, we're doing great time-wise. Doing great. We are going to paint more color on the wings. And so with the wings, I streaked in just plain old raw sienna. That's your wheat butterscotch color. And I also made an orange by mixing a little yellow and red, or you can do raw sienna and red. Play around with those. Or just let them mix right on the canvas. Like I could do this. I could take, oh, you used all the raw sienna, Paul.
I did.
I'm gonna get some more here. We're almost out. I realized that the other day when I was filling all the Go Box bottles. I was like, whew, we just barely made it. I need to order some. Today was an ordering day. As we found out yesterday, we get to open. Was it yesterday we found out we get to open the studio, or was it the day before?
Day before.
And it was just like scramble, scramble, scramble. We need wine. We need
Classes.
classes. Yeah, we need classes on the schedule. We need fresh paint, all kinds of stuff. We need to clean the studio. It's gotten dusty as it sits there. So I'm streaking raw sienna in here. And then let's see what happens when I mix raw sienna and red. It makes an orangey. Actually makes a pretty orange. Kind of a dull, I don't want to say dull, it's like a muted orange. Let's throw that in there. I like that. That's good.
Don't be stealing up on my...
And let's see what it looks like when we mix just plain red and yellow. So that's your ruby and daffodil. That should give you a really nice orange. A little more yellow than red will give you like a true orangey orange. pumpkin orange. Yeah, this is real close to pumpkin orange. So that color looks great on here. If you want to add more red, if you want to add more blue, more gray, honestly, it's kind of anything goes here. I don't want to add a ton of red because I feel like this is all very red. We've got red here. So this area I'll kind of keep more on the orangey tones. I was liking the raw sienna a lot. Purple's another color you could put in here.
I mean, it could be anything.
It could be anything. Let's see. Oh, and we still have some pink to add. So keep that in mind. Pink, guys. Unless you really have an aversion to pink and you don't want any pink on your rooster.
I've had people that
I won't care.
I have had a couple people in the studio before that were like, I'm not painting pink.
Or, whether it's pink or any other color. And they don't have to. We've got some, we've got a Starry Night painting with Van Gogh style starry swirls over Mount Hood. And a lot of people leave those out. And they just kind of have this serene starlit painting with just little dotted stars. And I've always thought, more power to them for just knowing what they want. I love that. So I really got really yellow heavy in here and lost a lot of my blue. I'll go back and add some blue there in a while because it needs to dry just a bit. If I added blue onto it right now, it would turn kind of greenish. Green wing maybe is not such a great idea. And we need to add our thighs.
Bust out the thigh master.
He has cute little thick thighs. They're black because they come out of this stomach area down here. And literally they're shaped like inverted triangles, but they're without having a point. They're just kind of flattened off. So I've got this one that's fit closest to us, and then this one's a little smaller because it's on the other side of the bird. Let's take our medium-sized brush, or if you've got a relatively small rooster, you might use your little guy. And right about here, I'll just make, like I'm starting to draw an upside-down triangle, but I just have it sort of, think of it, they're feathers, so have it kind of flat on the bottom there. That didn't end up very good, I'm sorry. I don't know what was happening.
What is happening?
And then I'll do one over here that's better. A little smaller, it's further away. These are where the feet will come out of. And obviously that looks weird because it goes over the blue highlight, so I'm going to wash my brush and just add blue highlight back over the top here. There. And I can add, this might be a little too wet, but I could add some blue highlights to these. We should, because we want it to match with everything else. There. Kind of on the front edge here. He's really got like quite the stance. Like this is the buff rooster. This is the skinnier guy. And then we got the buff guy. Oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Fun.
And then I've got the good-looking guy who comes in and steals the ladies while the skinny guy and the buff guy fight it out.
Aww. We're getting close.
Something like that.
We're getting close. Let's go ahead and draw the eye on while everything else is drying.
Let me check out those thighs. Okay, just want to see what's going on.
Thick. So the eye, you can do in, let's see how it looks in just plain yellow. I said on the instructions, yellow or raw sienna, I believe is what I said. I'm going to go for yellow. No, yellow's a little... Yellow, I guess it shows up okay. I thought it wouldn't show up super great. Let's see what raw sienna looks like. I think raw sienna is going to be the winner rooster dinner here. Shows up a little better. You could mix the two together too. And while that's drying, and while the thighs are drying, I need to fix the wing. I feel like the wing looks like it's just pasted on, and it doesn't look like it's a part of the rooster. Like it doesn't flow very well. And I think it's partly because I got rid of so much of my blue when I painted all those other colors on top. And I have to be careful here because I've got wet yellow paint and wet orange paint. And by adding blue, it can become muddy by the colors all mixing together. So I do, to keep it from doing that while the paint's still wet, I use a really light touch. So I just barely glide the tip of the bristles. So what it does is it doesn't allow those colors to mush together. The more pressure you use, the easier it is for those colors to just sort of mush together. So I'm just using a super light, quick little flick. And I'm bringing this wing in to just kind of flow with the rest of my rooster. That's funny that we both called them chickens earlier. I got on your case and then it was like karma, me calling it a chicken immediately after.
That's why I don't say anything anymore.
Oh boy. This is the time while things are drying to just look at your painting. We still have to add the pink if you're going to do that. You could add white highlights. Like I could use this small brush and just add some white highlights in here in the front with the blue. Anything you do here like this, it just is going to add to the overall completion, like finished look of this painting. See, that looks way better just adding a little white, and I felt like I could touch this up too. I could even do a little white highlight here and here, a little sparkle. He's all fixed up. And I do like to do a white highlight on the top of the beak for shine. Just right along that black outline. Add a little white here in the wings.
We're like fighting over paint.
Not bad. It's working. I'm liking it a little better. I felt like it was feeling a little too overdone. It needed some fuss and muss. The wing on my new one looks a little strange, I guess. I think I can see what it is. I think I need to round it up a bit right here. I guess we'll find out. I'll find out as I do it right now and see if it's what it needed or if I should have left it alone. I'm just using a little purpley color. Well, he just kind of looks like he has a humpback now. Yeah, I kind of like that purple in there. Sometimes when you're painting, you make decisions on the fly based on little things that you do that are actual. You might think it's an accident. Like, I'll just try this.
I tell you what,
Let's
this guy
see,
never
happy
does.
little accident.
This guy never does anything on the fly.
There's a lot of puns we could use here.
Dun-dun-dun.
Okay, so my wing has a lot of wet paint on it, and if I add pink to it right now, it's going to turn to mud, and so I feel like now is a good time to talk feet. I'm going to pull up the original. I kept the feet incredibly loose, and what I figured while I was doing them, I thought there's a 50-50 chance these are not going to turn out because it's really close to the bottom of the canvas, which means a foot's going to go off the canvas, or I could just really completely mess it up. And so I kept in the back of my mind a plan that if it didn't work out, I would just let it dry and paint the grass over it and just have it look like our rooster is standing in grass where you can't see his feet. That is the easiest fix ever. And if you have to do that, you have to do that. It's fine. It was all part of my backup plan here. Let's see what color. I can't remember the exact colors I mixed to make the feet. And then we'll do the pink, and then we will pretty much be done. Okay, let's see here. Legs are loosely sketched and filled in with orange. So the outline of the legs is ruby and sapphire. It's this kind of plummy purple that we have in the tail. And then the orangey color I made earlier with daffodil and ruby. Yeah, we've already done all the other stuff. We've already done the eye and the highlight on the beak. So let's talk about the feet. Let me draw some with my big pen. So let's ignore these. We've got our little thigh tufts that look like this coming down from the bottom of the rooster. Here's the belly. And the legs, birds kind of have this thing where they can bend their legs backwards, sort of. And then their feet are honestly, I kept them so loosely sketched so you can't like see individual toes. You look at them and you know that they're rooster feet. Fowl feet. But honestly, they're shaped a lot like this. And then they even have like a claw thing on the back. But you don't even have to detail them as much as I did here. Just follow along with me and know that you can paint grass over them. And it will be just as good as ever. Okay, let's do it. Let's go for it. If you want to use a pencil, you can. But I'm going to go for I'm going to make that plummy purple color. That was the red and blue.
Oops, I bumped the camera down.
Oh, are we all right?
No.
Better watch yourself there, Paul.
Might want to slide your canvas a little bit. Okay.
Okay, so I'm mixing plain old ruby and sapphire. So you're making a deep violet. It can be on the redder side, but honestly, it doesn't really matter. It's like a plum, deep plum. And I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna sketch this one first and have it come down, and then it's a loose sketch, so you're not like making completely solid lines. You're just kind of suggesting a foot. And I did do a little claw back here. Whatever that's called. I know in my dog it's like called a dew claw. And then I'll do this foot here. Also short little parallel lines that go back. And then this one comes forward.
Oops, I bumped it. But not bad.
You need to stop.
Just need to stop it.
And if the feet look crazy to you, they probably do. They looked crazy to me when I first made them. And then when I got them filled in, they looked a little bit better. I feel like mine are really long right now, but I think that's fairly accurate to have. I don't know, I'd have to look them up. I know when we were kids, we'd draw cartoons, we'd just draw like straight down and then with the feet. I don't even know if I looked at rooster feet when I drew these. I just kind of went on memory. Maybe they don't bend backwards. I worked for this.
I'm pretty sure they do.
Okay, so I've got this already. It's ruby and daffodil. So you make an orange, pumpkin orange, I called it earlier. I have some fresh already because I put it on the wing just a bit ago. And I'm going to pull a little more yellow into it. Using my medium brush, I'll just sketchy fill in this. And it's really dark on top of the blue, but we're going to add some yellow in there.
Can I have the palette, please?
Oops. I suppose. Don't worry about painting over some of your outlines. In fact, I think sometimes it looks better to do that. Oh boy, what am I doing? Maybe not that much coloring over. And I'm going to wash my brush. And I'm going to, I'm going to take the yellow. I'm going to add just a touch of, well, first I'll add a little yellow in here. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to mix a little tiny bit of white to yellow. So if I were to give you a recipe, it would be 2 parts yellow, 1 part white. So what it's going to do is it's going to make it a little more opaque and brighter. So it will stand up against, because we're painting this yellow over a dark base. So having the white in there is going to help. We don't have a lot of room. Looks like Paul kind of mixed that color earlier. So I'll plop down some yellow here. Plop down white. So it's thereabouts 2 parts yellow, 1 part white. I think I did a little more white than I needed. It's the color of butter. Just about. And this color is going to show up a lot nicer. In fact, I might use my smaller brush to get some streaks of that on here. And I'm being very, very rough and loose with this. The chances of you loving your chicken feet are slim to none. But keep in mind, chicken feet are not pretty. So they shouldn't look pretty. They're very, very unattractive. I could get some raw sienna in there too. My daughter, whenever we get a dim sum, she always wants to get the chicken feet because, I don't know, I guess that's what you do as a teenager. I remember getting them when I was a teenager too. Just for the sake of it. Oh, I hate chicken feet. And gosh, they're so ugly. They bring them out in the little steamer tray. It's like, ugh. You get this bowl with feet poking out of it. So one thing I don't like is how this, it suddenly goes from the black, it's real cut off straight. And I want to make black little feathery fluffs with my small brush.
I know where I'm putting some more grass.
Yeah, we might all add grass. But I'll just add some feathery tufts at the top of the legs.
Oh, I think this is
like he's wearing little feather knickers.
This is a good spot to put some black grass all the way
Got
across
little
the
knickers,
bottom
little feather, black feather bloomers. Actually, mine kind of look like Hulk pants, like they're torn off. This one is kind of a bigger rooster anyway, so like Hulk pants. Okay, so the feet are not attractive. They were not attractive on this one either. So
bye-bye, feet.
Please don't worry about how they look. Paul is worried about his, so he's painting grass over his. That's okay. Mine's just gonna be... The thing is, it's funny, is you will concentrate on the thing you like the least, and it's like you can't stop looking at it, even though most people looking at your painting won't even pay a second more attention to it.
Oh no, these feet, they would have noticed.
It's just, because in your brain it registers as, I didn't like that, therefore nobody's going to like that.
Pretty sure
but
nobody would have liked
if
my
you
feet.
decide that you are going to paint over your feet, please let them dry. Hair dry it if you need to, but go back to that raw sienna and sapphire mix for the grass. Paint some grass over them. You can have the little thigh tufts kind of showing at the bottom of the grass. And then when your green grass dries, go back with the blue and white color that we made and add some highlight there. I'm going to go ahead and make a pupil, a little tiny black pupil dot in the middle of the eye, and then I'm going to use the smallest brush, very small amount of black paint on the tip of the bristles, very light pressure, and outline this eye. Their eyes always look kind of startled because
They don't blink.
yeah, they don't really have...
I don't know if they have eyelids.
They do have eyelids, kind of like their eyelids remind me of like lizard eyelids a little bit.
Well, they're all part of the same family.
They are?
I don't know.
That was such a BS thing to say.
Sounds good.
All right, I'm ready to add some pink. Now keep in mind, if you're done and you don't want to add pink, then you're officially done. You don't have to add any pink at all. I'm going to add pink because I did add it on that original. I'll show you. I really like the amount of pink. I kind of went crazy with it. I don't know. I feel like it adds like this nice level of depth because in the tail it's lots of dark and then you've got the blue but no major highlight. So the pink adds a nice highlight. You can add it in here as well. Let's go for it if you're going to do it. White and red, middle brush. I am running out of room on here completely. I wonder if I have a paper plate. Oh, I do. Luckily, I have a paper plate. So I'm going to scrape off a little red. Scrape off a little white. Ooh, it's got a little orange in it. Move that over to you. And mix up a pink. I like to call this color raspberry smoothie because it kind of looks like the way it would look if you blended raspberries with milk or yogurt. So it's not like a baby pastel pink. It's somewhere in between that and a true red. And I'll go ahead and start with the tail because that's easy. I feel like I could put a little more weight in it. There we go. And I'll add a drop of water because for doing these long feathery brush strokes, I kind of feel like having the paint be a little more fluid is super helpful. My water's dirty, so that's okay though. It's not gonna wreck it. And then I'm going to add pink to the wing. I still have a couple spots where I can see a tiny bit of canvas showing through, so this is a good color to plop on there. This is a great painting to hang in a kitchen area. And where else could, oh yeah, we talked about how you could add some pink in here and here if you want. Very light amount though. I kind of went a little heavy. You could use your finger. You could use your finger and smudge it in there. Using your finger as a tool, hey, that works a lot. Do it all the time. And I could add some pink anywhere else on here. I don't want to, I'm getting a lot of color in here, and I definitely want these to look like separate parts. And so I'm not going to add too much more in there. I could add a little pink here, even a little pink on the feet. I mean, they need something. And any other color that's kind of singing to you right now that you want to add in there, it's like your brain's saying, add yellow or whatever. Feel free to do that. Make it your own. Make it your own. That's the most important thing. All right, how are you doing there, Paul?
I'm doing pretty good.
You just about finished? Because I just did my kind of my last brush strokes here. I mean, this is one of those paintings you can continue working on for ages, because it's fun.
Oh, just give me one more minute.
And more colors. You know, I'll show your painting. Oh, there it is. So keep working. I'm gonna show Paul's painting he'll be teaching next Friday. I'm excited to do this one because this kind of landscape is a little scary to me, to be honest. Not this part. I feel like this part pretty easy, doable. It's just down in here. When we start adding rocks in water, it's really easy to have it turn out really funky. And so that'll be really fun to learn how to do that and how to make it look like the water's just sort of rippling in there and shimmering. And we both wanted these to look like summer paintings because we try to go seasonal. We actually haven't designed July yet. We've been really behind on doing that kind of thing. So if you have a suggestion for July, then feel free to throw that in there for us. We probably won't do anything like Independence Day related just because our video will be after that. But, I mean, we're happy to... I was thinking like some kind of... I don't know. I always think about July, I think about like camping and tents and bonfires and that kind of thing. Although we've already done the bonfire painting, so we'll see. We'll figure something out. We'll figure something out good. But yeah, this one's called A Summer to Meander. Lots of good tones and colors going in there. Same colors we used on this one, just done up a little differently, mixed up a little differently.
Okay, I'm done.
All right. Oof. You almost knocked your beer over. So when you're done, your palette might look like that. Likely it's a little cleaner than ours. We've got two artists going crazy here. Let's pull Paul's over here. He's been working away. It's always fun to see at the end. You hear my comments on them, and then you see his. I like it. So you eliminated most of your feet,
Yeah.
and that actually looks fine to just have a little hint of the feet showing. So if you feel like you guys don't like that and you want to do that, please do. Otherwise, they'll bother you forever. And you shaded a little more on the face and waddle. He looks very calm. Like compared to the original. Look at that guy.
Yes.
He's straight up hollering. This guy's calm and stoic. I like this color blend you got in here. It's kind of almost tie-dye looking.
For some reason our picture-in-picture's not coming on.
That's okay. Nobody needs to see me.
Try that again. It's just not happening.
That's all right. So I hope you guys had fun and kept up just fine. Hopefully, remember you can pause anytime. We had fun tonight. It's a good Friday night thing for us to do. Look forward to doing more videos. Make sure that you click the like button and subscribe and tickle the little bell icon if you want to get notifications. If you're just sort of tuning in, you don't know what all this is, these are subscription boxes we sell every month with the printed out instructions. And you get your little coaster here, which you can, those are fun. I have them all over the house. And then the paint, and we sell brushes and all kinds of extra add-ons. We've got watercolors, lots of fun things coming up. And we don't do just canvas, we do wood paintings. We've done the little wood ornaments, wood slices, so we try to mix it up a bit here and there. But hopefully you guys had a good time. I'd love to see your roosters. You can share them with us via email. What is our main email address for info?
No, support@gobox.com.
Support@gobox.com or support@vinego.com, either one. If you want us to share your painting, we're happy to do that. We just want to get your permission. And then also you can join our Facebook group, GoBox Art Crate. Make sure it has the crate on the end, then you'll know it's a group. It's a group you have to ask permission to join. We'll accept you, and you can share art with other people and see their art. And we're excited to be back in the studio starting next weekend. Hope to see some of you in there, but we are definitely going to keep continuing with GoBox and adding more projects. And we recently have had we opened up a kids subscription, so that's something you might want to check out if you have kids that like to stalk and lurk and see what you're doing and want to do it themselves.
Yep.
So, all right. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. We're in for some good sunny weather. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next Friday night.
See ya.
Bye.
We're still live.